chemical weapons in Syria, more on the Boston bombing case, and tragedy in Bangladesh. These are today's top stories. For WFLS, I'm Emily Cole, bringing you your news in a flash. Now for a spin around our globe for your international news. In March 2011, the Russian Security Service sent a stark warning to the FBI and CIA, reporting that Tamerlan Tsarnaev was a follower of radical Islam who had changed drastically since 2010. It was preparing to travel to Russia's turbulent Caucasus to connect with underground militant groups. Should the Russian warnings have permitted American officials to foil the Marathon plot? That question emerged on Thursday as the crux of a debate among members of Congress, counterterrorism officials, and outside experts about whether and how the security system failed. In another international dispute, the White House said Thursday it believes the Syrian government has used chemical weapons in its civil war, an assessment that could prevent President Obama's repeated warnings that such an attack could precipitate American intervention in Syria. However, it said that more conclusive evidence was needed before Mr. Obama would take action. And as tensions rise with Syria, the death toll rises in Bangladesh. As the search for survivors continued on Friday in one of the worst manufacturing disasters in history, pointed questions were being raised about why a factory building in Bangladesh was not padlocked after terrified workers notified the police, government officials, and a powerful garment industry group about cracks in the walls. Pressure continued to build on Western companies that had promised, after a deadly fire in November, to take steps to ensure the safety of Bangladeshi factories that make the goods the companies sell. Even in the situation of grave threat, when they saw cracks in the walls, factory managers thought it was too risky not to work because of the pressure on them from U.S. and European retailers to deliver their goods on time. This will be the topic for discussion today on Key Points. After a devastating tragedy such as this occurs, people always seek to point a finger where they believe the blame is in order to find a solution. In this case, I believe the true responsibility for this disaster lies with Western corporations and consumers, and it's our responsibility to fix this problem. First, in a society that values individualism above all else, we as Americans have forgotten how to care for the collective group that we make up, and focus only on the product we receive and not on the process that it took to create. This selfish thinking needs to end if we are serious about ending disasters such as these in Bangladesh. Second, companies need to vow to create safer conditions for their employees all over the globe. Companies such as Calvin Klein have pledged to improve workplace safety, and increased consumer pressure must be put on companies, especially Walmart, who refuse this motion, to create safe and equitable conditions for all employees. Finally, we as consumers hold the cards in this issue. We Americans need to drastically change the way that we shop to show that we care about the safety and equality of workers across the globe. By sending this message to companies through our wallets, we can dramatically influence this issue and ensure that an accident such as this doesn't happen again. Coming into focus on the U.S., Boston Marathon bombing suspect Dzhokhar Tsarnaev has been moved to a Preston Medical Center from the hospital where he had been held since his arrest last week. The 19-year-old ethnic Chechen was formally charged on Monday and could face death penalty if convicted. In another national disaster, President Barack Obama, standing before a line of flag-draped coffins, consoled family and friends on Thursday at a memorial service for firefighters killed in a massive explosion last week at a Texas firefighter plant. The deaths of 14 people, nearly all of them emergency responders, ripped a hole in the heart of the town of West. Investigators have not determined the cause of the blast, which also injured some 200 people. Moving to Washington, the U.S. House of Representatives is expected to act quickly on Friday to finalize a Senate plan to ease nationwide air traffic delays caused by last month's automatic federal spending cuts. Lawmakers were eager to act quickly, since many of them would be scrambling to catch flights home and to do other destinations at the start of a week-long recess. They also sought to avoid growing wrath of traveling public, which had dealt with significant takeoff and landing delays since the furloughs started on Sunday. And in this week, Michigan Attorney General Bill Schuette, the state's top law enforcement officer, is opposed to proposed legislation that would decriminalize the possession of small amounts of marijuana. He's concerned the legislation would increase the availability of drugs that could negatively impact Michigan's children. House Bill 4623 would not legalize marijuana use in Michigan, but it would reduce the penalties for those caught with 10 pounds or less of drugs. And in this week's sport update, the struggling Los Angeles Lakers suffered yet another morale-sapping injury setback on Thursday with the news that backup guard Steve Blake will miss Friday's Game 3 against visiting San Antonio Spurs. And spring is sprung with a high of 62. That's all for today. For WFLS, I'm Emily Cole. Have a wonderful day.